Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Speak Your Peace. I am the host, Memory Pines Echoes, and I'm here from Above and Beyond Treatment Facility located at 2942 West Lake Street. I've asked a young lady to come out and share with me and talk about being in as a clergy. I have seen this person transform and become a beacon of hope in the community, the black community. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Jacqueline Lee, and I have been in ministry for about 17 years now. 17 years I've been in ministry.
And can you tell me what and how you knew it was time?
Well, that is a question that has more than one part, but I'll do my best to answer it. So, I was born and raised in a family of believers. Mm-hmm. My mother was a strong believer in the faith, and that's how she ran her household. So we did not have a choice whether we wanted to go to church or not. That was a part of my family culture.
Now, in my family,
Mm-hmm.
we could go to any faith,
Mm-hmm.
but we had to have a God.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was Catholic, my father was Baptist,
Mm-hmm.
but wasn't no, I don't believe in God because no, that was now you could be a Muslim, you can be Yahweh, you can be whatever you wanted to be, but you had to acknowledge God.
Okay.
So,
So absolutely. I was born and raised to believe in God. And that was just the natural way. I was excited about going to church. I was always the kid that you didn't have to wake up on Sunday. I was already ready. My mother would start many Sundays off with the radio or Jubilee Showcase that was on the TV. And so we would hear all of these wonderful musicians sing gospel songs, and so that really set the tone and the atmosphere for us to prepare for church. And so I was very active in church. I sang in the kids' choir. I went to Sunday school because during that time we went to church morning until night.
Right.
And I was a member of one of the largest churches in the city of Chicago at that time, Fellowship Baptist Church, under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Clay Evans. And so I grew up there. I was Christian there as a child. I was baptized there. And I can remember, to answer your question, it was a service, and I was sitting in the big church, what we used to call it, because it wasn't the children's church. We were in the service in the adults' church. And so we called it the big church as children. And I remember listening to the sounds of worship, listening to the sounds of people thanking God and praising God. And some people would jump, some people would yell, some people would cry. And I looked in the choir stand and looked at my mother, and she was weeping. And I've never really seen my mother cry outside of church, but it was a weep of complete surrender. It looked like she was crying, but she looked at peace in her cry. But it was something about her crying that I started to cry when my mother cried. And at some point, I felt something deep down.
So you letting everyone know that it was really into you early on.
Absolutely.
Okay, as coming into your womanhood and different things, and as how can I put this? Like, being a teenager, a young adult, and get into other things. How did you hold on to that faith?
Well, as I said, going to church was not an option. So I went to church all through my life. It did not prevent me from being curious about other things. And so as I got in high school, of course, I had more reign to be able to, ride the bus to school, meet other, girlfriends in other communities. And so I was exposed to, some of the dangers that people deal with in the city of Chicago with, being, teenagers. So, I knew when I was doing something I had no business doing. Like I can remember one time, a young lady was smoking, and I've never seen anybody smoke in my house. My mother didn't smoke, my family didn't smoke, and so she was smoking this cigarette, and it was something on the inside of me. I just liked the way it looked. I liked the way it looked, and she gave me a cigarette. And from that moment forward, I decided that that's what I was going to do. I was going to smoke. I wasn't going to openly smoke because, of course, if I got caught, I'm the youngest of 9. So if I got caught by anybody in my community and it got back home, so I would sneak to do it, but I realized then that I was going to smoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just let everybody know that I got Jackie on the hot seat. It was supposed to be a panel of people here, but us ladies, we show up, and when we say we're going to do something, we put it to the test.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that. But I want to ask some difficult questions, and I want to talk about faith in the city today.
Okay.
And a lot of what's going on sometimes is faith related. As we see, say like the Palestinians and what's going on with the Palestinians and the Jews, and even in our communities, a lot of it is some people have faith, some people don't. So how do we take a look at that? How do we put that type of grace in our community? How do we pray for our community?
Well, that's a large question, and I think that many folks are really trying to answer that question. But even with it being a large question, there is no one answer. But I do believe that faith and love would get us a long way. I believe that one of the issues in the city of Chicago is the economics and the division. And so there comes emotions with that. That comes anger, the have and the have-nots. It's just like the situation with the migrant families.
Right.
So we've always had homeless families, and the Bible says that the poor will always be with us. So, but there always been homeless in Chicago, and when the migrant families came, it appeared. Now the migrants are people too.
Oh, yes,
the migrants
they
are human beings.
Oh, yes,
the migrants
they are.
were homeless. They left a dire situation, came to many cities across the United States of America. But then all of a sudden, what happened? That there was funding that was produced that our community could never get.
received.
And so there came anger, there came rage, there came, and a lot of times when you see violence in our communities, it's being acted out because people don't feel heard.
Heard, or not only just heard, but after you put the work in,
Absolutely.
after you have did the protesting, after you've been an advocate and no help has come to you,
Right.
where do we begin? How do we begin to close that gap?
Absolutely. We begin, I think, by just having a dialogue. I think that I'm just one of those people that what's going outside starts in our own homes, in our own hearts, in our own communities. And so you have to have a vision and a focus for your own family. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Whether you're a single parent, whether you are a two-parent family, whether you whatever demographic your family is, it starts in the home. It starts with training up young people that know how to follow guidance, direction, and leadership. You know, it starts with parents being aware of who your children are connected and attached to. It starts with dialogue, with having conversations about the culture and how the culture has advanced. And some people that are in our age group, we don't understand the music and the language, but it starts with us having a dialogue and getting on one accord.
The dialogue that you're speaking of in the homes, I see a lot of young ladies, and the young ladies try to navigate that.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because we got really young ladies with no resources. And I see a lot of young ladies looking in wrong places for help. You know, once we come outside, how can we help each other? That's what where do we begin?
Well, again, that's a broad question too. A lot of things going on, but I think that communication and having equal resources across the board. See, there's not equal resources in the school system, in funding, in different things. And when there is not equal resources, then there's going to be certain subgroups that it's going to be problematic.
So what I'm seeing is like it's two Chicagos.
Okay.
You know, there's two Chicagos. One where if I went and stood on a corner with my children selling candy or whatever and got my children out there in the middle of the street with me, I'm going to get locked up.
Okay.
But that's not what's happening with the migrants. They had the babies on the street and people are almost running them over.
Right.
But they not stopped. It's like it's going on and on and on.
Well, that's because I think, because all of this is just my opinion.
Oh, we understand that.
So
the
I just want the people to know, listen.
I do get that clarity.
Okay.
The opinions that you hear are not those of Above and Beyond or me.
Absolutely.
These are just personal. We just speaking our piece and getting it out there. And maybe you might have an opinion on what we're talking about.
And then too, with the opinion,
it's not to hurt anyone or to cause anybody any pain. It's to find some solutions and to open that dialogue open, to be able to talk to each other in a manner where we can have an open dialogue and then get some steps in to help each other.
I love that. And I was about to say, even with me having opinions, because I've sat in different groups and in different circles, that my the knowledge and the information has really broadened my perspective. See, you always have to be open to learn from people. We have to learn from one another. And that's another reason why, because some folks think I'm right about this, and you may be, but there is also another way to look at something. So we have to be able to look at our differences as well as our similarities and be able to, do things in a collaboration.
My mother used to always say, your rights ends where mine begin. And
that was definitely a different time.
Yeah. But that's not the case. I worry about the young men. I worry about society as a whole because it's so much struggle now. It's just different. It's a different time and place and navigating through it. And I have wanted to have a panel of people who have turned to the collar and have found peace and who are helping people to see life in a different light.
Yes.
And I asked Jackie because she is one of those people to me that stay stuck, or not stuck, or stay strong and whole with faith and walks the walk. You know, she just don't, talk it. She walks it. And
Thank you.
I need to be able to share this with other people. So that's what I wanted to do tonight. Also, just not the migrants and the way that is being handled. I think that will eventually change. It was just like when they was giving out all the COVID and everything, and it was COVID. We got COVID relief here, and we got COVID, and all of a sudden one day no COVID.
Right.
I think that boat is gonna stop too. So those things will change.
Yes.
But how do we keep moving in a direction that will help people as a whole? Because nobody's going anywhere, so we're going to have to find a way to accept what's going on and to move in a direction where we're not hurting each other. Another thing is with those the carjacking and everything, people are scared.
Absolutely. I don't believe that you can do anything on a large platform if you don't do it as an individual, right? It would be unrealistic for me to be able to stand up in the pulpit on Sunday and talk to my congregation, and I can't talk to my own husband and my sons and my grandchildren. So I have many conversations just like this with the people that I love every day.
Right.
Because they're connected to those people. They're going to school. My grandson and my grandchildren, they go to school with other children.
Right.
My sons go work around other people. So these subgroup conversations that we have with our families, my prayer is that it extends out and I can have influence with my own children and my grandchildren. Therefore, when I send them out, their behavior is one of dignity and respect, and hopefully it will rub off, or you will, because all kids are not carjacking, all kids are not smoking blunts, all young ladies are not on the corner. That is just a small group. It looks like it is a lot because that's what the media shows, but there are young people doing some great things.
Yes.
And
yes.
they, we watch news from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and we got 5 minutes of good news. We got a snippet of what's happening over here at this school because they are in the business of showing us all of these tragedies and all of these things to get us anxious, to make us afraid, to make us not want to come out and share. When that's the thing, we are the people in this world. We have to be able to stand and take our communities back. We're waiting for our men. We're waiting for our fathers. We're waiting for our husbands. You understand what I'm saying? And it's some out there, but we have to be able to operate in our home. And I think that, because one thing about this generation, you won't reach them if you're not being for real, if you're not being transparent,
right.
If you're not who you say you are. And I think that is something that as people of God, we have to work on. People like to say, oh, you're a minister, you're a preacher, you're an elder. Yes, I am. But I also have warm blood running through my veins. I also get angry. I also get disappointed. I also get upset. How do I respond and how do I react in those times? My faith plays a key. I have to continue to read my Bible. I have to continue to get on the phone with people who are also walking in the faith, saying, I've had that situation. This is what I did. So there are some fundamental things that have to be done in order for you to maintain a level of spirituality and self-control.
Yes, I like the way you put that too. Being women of color, we sometimes always are like at the head of the household.
Sometimes.
Yes, sometimes we are.
Yes.
And I think even with the husband and wife dynamic, it goes back and forth. Because also, like you said, the raising and how you raised and what you put into your children is what you get back from them. And when they go out, sometimes we have children that go out and they get into trouble.
They do.
And what we do, we bring them back.
Yeah.
We help them to get back into track
Absolutely.
and back into where they need to be. I don't wear the collar,
Right.
but I'm always with the children,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm always focused on trying to get the children to do the right things,
Right.
or looking at what part they play in different situations.
Yes, and just because I'm a minister and I wear a collar and I just believe in God, I'm not always floating on this thing like I have.
Let me.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
Go ahead.
We just got about 5 more minutes.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. But anyway, I would like to take just a moment and talk about and just acknowledge some people that have lost their lives in the last week or so.
Yeah.
She just told me about a brother named Sir Everett,
Yeah.
Dr. Sandy, and Tracy Knox. And, you know, I just want to acknowledge these people. And, you know, we all one day will take that walk, but it's nice to know that it was people like these people in our lives.
For sure.
That, and I just want to say that.
Yeah.
But you can finish your statement.
No,
please.
what I wanted to say is just because we are people of faith out there, that, you know, our children are exposed to the world. I mean, I've had trials and tribulations and ups and downs with my sons. My 17-year-old, he ended up becoming a father when he was in high school, and I was devastated because he wasn't taught that, right? But this is what I'm dealing with. And even today, he is a married man with a wonderful wife, and he's raising his 4 children. And I thought in my mind, I was so nervous, I didn't know what was going to happen. But he already had a focus because I had already made 17 years of a deposit. So
Right.
he knew, even though he did not intend to have a child, that he did, and he stayed on the path. He took that child to college with him. You understand?
Yes.
And he was able to raise that child with the child's mother, and now, you know, they have a blended family because he's now married to his wife, who is not the mother of the 17-year-old.
But
so
they still sowing seeds.
They're still sowing seeds.
Of a healthy.
Absolutely. So
Right.
even through the ups and downs, my oldest son has had some challenges with substance abuse. He's been in and out of the hospital. He's been in and had some mental health issues, and he's been able to go to therapy and to have his own apartment and to get in different programs. Does he still have moments that he needs his mother? Absolutely.
I don't care how old they get, they always need their mother. I needed
it's
mine.
It's not perfect, but
Look, I needed mine. I needed my mother and my father.
So
But
holding on to that faith
again, I
is
want
key.
to. Yeah, again, I would like to thank Above and Beyond for this opportunity to have Speak Your Peace. And I would like to thank Jackie Lee for coming out, and I'm going to have her here again. And speaking, you know, to us as a heartfelt, as a woman, a black woman, as a clergy, you know, that's a lot. You know, it sounds like no, it's something to walk in, and especially in these times. And I really do appreciate it.
I'm so glad you had me. This was such a blessing. And anytime you want me to come back, I will.
And we talked about some very important issues.
We did. We did.
Really much so. And again, I'm Memory from Above and Beyond. And again, this is Speak Your Peace. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.